Halloween special. Ha ha ha!
In this video I'm going to show how I made this Halloween pumpkin out of a yew log. Every year I think I should make one of these Halloween lanterns, and this year I decided to go for it, largely inspired by one that Tommy Akridge made on his YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description to his channel. I start by cutting a section from the middle of a yew log using a chainsaw. This is wet yew, it's very fresh, full of water, not ideal at all for this project, but it was all I had to work with. I'm mounting it between steb centres, and I'm centering it more on the centre of the heartwood than the centre of the log, because it's the heartwood I want to use. And I start by roughing it down to round using a spindle roughing gouge. First of all, you're just removing the bark, and then you start removing the sapwood. And I'm just working at it until I get down into that heartwood. It's the yew heartwood that I want because it's pumpkin coloured, and I love the grain that you get in that. I'm just going backwards and forwards, reducing it and checking it periodically. This is soaking wet, this wood. These are really wet shavings. I had to clean them off the lathe bed very quickly afterwards to stop it rusting. Here I'm truing up the ends where it wasn't cut very well by myself, and then I create a tenon on one end to put in the chuck jaws. I'm just checking the size of the tenon here, just to make sure it's going to fit my chuck jaws alright. It's in the chuck jaws now. There's only a steb centre coming on the tailstock now, and I'm starting to remove some of the bulk and start the shaping. So I'm just gradually removing it and switch to a spindle gouge here and start creating the shape. I've cut lots of this out because it's a bit tedious, but just gradually bringing it to a nice round pumpkin-y sort of shape. It turned quite nicely really, but this wood is too wet really for this project, and there were several nasty cracks in it as well. I had an awful lot of trouble with this project, and I'd almost given up on it. But I persevered. I actually restarted the project this morning and finished it today. But it was almost a bin job a couple of weeks ago. But here I'm rubbing the bevel, going downhill so that you're not cutting against unsupported grain. Just using my spindle gouge. And here I'm creating a taper on the lid. So the lid is slightly proud because of the kerf of the recess. It will sit lower down. It's not smoke, that is steam coming off that. So I'm using a parting tool and it's generating a bit of friction. Here I'm parting off the lid, using the parting tool again. There we go. And here I'm starting the hollowing. I've taken the lid out of the way. I'm using a Forstner bit in the Jacob's chuck. And once again, that is steam coming out there where the wood is so wet. But there are several cracks in this wood, and I've used very thin super glue several times on this. I was worried that with the heat and the steam it was actually going to split completely. But in actual fact, the Forstner bit didn't cause an issue. I'm just doing some hollowing here using a spindle gouge. The Forstner bit removed the bulk from the middle anyway, and then I'm using the spindle gouge just to do a bit more hollowing. And here I'm just neatening up the taper for the lid to sit in. I'm just test fitting the lid. Doing a bit of scraping using my favourite trick of a Robert Sorby scraper platform, box scraping platform, and I'm using a negative rake scraper in here. Now you'll see I get a catch here, and it was doing something stupid really. When I look at it, I just think, well, that's going to catch the edge of that lid, and there it is. I got very fed up with this because several cracks opened up because of the pressure created by the tailstock on the tapered lid, and I almost gave up on it. This is the Somerset levels, a little bit of time lapse of the clouds over the Somerset levels. Anyway, like I say, I did go back to it and stuck it back on the lathe this morning, and I don't know if you can see in this shot, but there's a very large Jubilee clip there, hose clip, round the main body of the pumpkin, just to hold all those cracks together, and it worked a treat. It held the lid in place, no splits appeared, and I was able to finish the top and the lid. Taking the clip off, and I'm just truing up the sides and refining the sides using a negative rake scraper. I'm then sanding up to 240. I've put 2 coats of sanding sealer on, and then it's Yorkshire Grit. This is my favourite bit with this project because it just brings it up so nicely. Yorkshire Grit's fantastic. You just buff it and it gets finer and finer. There we are. I've drawn a face on. I've left it on the chuck, and I'm using a little chip carving knife here just to define the outline of my design. Otherwise, when you start using power tools, you can lose your design if you're not careful. Out in the garage again now, and I'm using a Dremel. I've put the chuck back on the lathe just to give it some support. Gives me a hand free. Yeah, and I'm just cleaning these up a bit, removing as much bulk as I can with the Dremel, keeping within my lines. These are mini wood rasps, and they're fantastic little things. I use them for all sorts of things, knife making particularly they're good for. They're very good for neatening up this fella's face. And then using another wood carving knife, a little detail knife, and I'm just neatening up the apertures. And there it is, almost done. Lid fits. And just removing the nub. This is a woodcarver's gouge, a shallow gouge. And then we've got a battery powered LED tea light. They even flicker. Can't put real candles in these obviously. And there it is, all lit up. I hope you like it. Certainly caused me a bit of trouble. And the wet wood was not ideal. And I should have planned ahead really. But it worked out alright, and where I left it standing for a couple of weeks between when I first started it and when I finished it, it actually dried out quite a lot, and it meant I could get quite a good finish on it. I was half expecting it to split and fall to pieces as it dried, but in actual fact it dried beautifully, and it really dried quite a lot, so it was great, good result in the end. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And please like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much to all my subscribers. I really do appreciate it, and all your lovely comments. And I try and reply to all the comments. I'll put a link to UKIS in the description, because UKIS 2017 has been announced. That's the UK and Ireland Woodturning Symposium. And it's going to be in Coventry on July the 15th and 16th 2017. This year's event was fantastic, so if you can get to the next one, go for it. It's brilliant. And have a great Halloween, everybody.
More videos coming soon.